If you're like many people in this course, you've already completed and submitted your CAPM application. As part of that application, you had to agree to abide by the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Now, while this is not a clear exam objective, there will be some questions on the exam that are a little tricky when it comes to ethics and professional conduct. So just to take a quick look at this, we're going to talk about the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. I'm going to very quickly move through this. You can get this from PMI.org. It's part of your application that you have to agree to abide by this. So to begin with, we have responsibilities to the profession that we all follow the rules for the exam app, the test items, the little answer sheet or the whiteboard, the 6 sheets of paper, PDU reporting. Those aren't fictional. You actually did the classes or whatnot to earn your PDUs. We need clear and factual evidence. If someone is violating the PMI Code of Ethics, we want clear and factual evidence. We just don't go report violations. We have to really see it is a violation. And then if PMI asks you a question, that you cooperate with PMI and you disclose any appearance of the conflict of interest. So we need clear and factual evidence when it comes to reporting violations. The professional practice as a project manager, if you are doing project work for other, we want to have truth in advertising and sales. We don't claim to have the #1 book on Amazon or the #1 training class if that's not true. So truth in advertising in your sales. You want to comply with laws and regulations, ethical standards of the country where the project is being held. The advancement of the profession. We respect the intellectual property of others. And then we want to disperse this code. So I know some project managers that give this to people on their team, whatever you feel is appropriate, but we readily share and disperse the code. I think the best way to do this is to just you be a good example for others. We do have a responsibility to the customers and the public as a project manager that we want to be truthful in our qualifications and in our experience, truthful in our estimates. So we don't sandbag. Sandbagging means we have a project to do and we say, oh, I can do this project for, $12,000, a little project here. So they say, okay, go do it. And then you get into the project a little bit and you say, oh, you know what? It's actually going to be about 18,000. Well, now we're already kind of in the middle of it and you've already started the work. Do I want to cancel the contract to go find somebody else or just pay you the additional $6,000. They're not very honest. We don't want to do that. That's called sandbagging. Customers in charge. We're working for the customer. And there is some confidentiality, some privity that is between the customer and the vendor. In other words, if you hire me to do a project, I don't go blab to everybody else what you're paying me to do the project or what's happening in your organization. I have some confidentiality requirements. I want to avoid the conflict of interest. If I'm in a decision-making position, I don't want to make decisions that benefit myself. And I don't want to have the appearance of impropriety. If I know my brother would be a great person to help on this project, but if I choose my brother, that looks like nepotism. So I need to take that decision away and give that to someone else. So I'm not choosing my brother. The sponsor is or someone else is, but we want to follow what is best for the project, but we also don't want to appear to have a conflict of interest. And then of course we don't accept inappropriate compensation. Always follow the laws and the custom of the country where the project is taking place. Some extras here, some terms that you might see on your exam. I wouldn't worry about this too much. The first one is the Sapir-Whorf hypotheses. It basically says the language that you speak affects how you think. That we might have a person that is speaking or speaks German and I speak English, and we might come to the same conclusion for a problem, but their thought process to get there may be different than my thought process to get there. So how we think is influenced by the language that we speak. Culture shock, I mentioned this earlier, the first time I went to Paris, there was some culture shock. Ethnocentrism, I mentioned this earlier with Paris, that I'm measuring other people's culture by my culture. Not a good thing to do. All right, so that's a quick look at the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Basically, you just do the right thing. You think, well, what would Joe do here? Or better yet, what would an angel do here? So it is just do the right thing. And you won't have a whole bunch of questions on this, maybe a couple, but it should be pretty clear it's an ethical type question. So you think about, well, what is the most appropriate thing to do based on the country and the customs, the rules of your organization, and the PMI Code of Conduct? What is, the golden rule? How would you want to be treated? And you think about the perception as well. All right, keep moving forward.